What we're going to do here at the end of every module, actually the beginning of the next one, is put a little video clip in there so I can go over what we should have learned, some summary of the module before. And so the first module we did was the history of energy. And I'll talk about some of the things that we went over in that module. So this is a way to kind of look back and see if you were on track with the homework and the readings and got the points I was trying to bring across. So module 1, try to remember what work, energy, and power are. Kilowatts and kilowatt hours are not the same thing. I see that in this country often confused. When you look at your electric bill and say, I spent or used or consumed 900 kilowatt hours in a month, and then there'll be some people who say I spent 900 kilowatts in a month. They're not the same thing. Kilowatts is a rate or a capacity, and kilowatt hours is a block of energy, is how much you actually consumed. And you can see that really readily if you know what a watt is. And a watt is a joule per second, or a rate, a capacity to do work, or something on that order. So if I multiply a joule per second, which is a watt, times an hour, which is a time signature, I can cancel out, because one's on the denominator, one's on the numerator. I can cancel out time with a proper conversion of, what is that, 3,600 seconds in an hour, and end up with a joule. So a kilowatt hour is just a joule, some conversion of kilowatt hours to joules, which is a unit of work or energy. So when you buy that from the power company, and buy 100 kilowatt hours from the power company, you're actually buying a block of energy. And again, the kilowatt in an electric motor, or horsepower in engine, or liter, or however we want to categorize our engines and motors, these are rates or capacities to do work, and then a block of energy is a kilowatt hour. So that's one of the things you want to keep track of. Our homework, our discussion about the World Bank database should show around 500 million people that live in countries that produce less than 219 kilowatt hours per person per year. So that's a pretty low number, but 500 million people is not. That's a pretty high number. Now, we noticed that when we made that database, there's a lot of countries that were missing data because that World Bank data book did not have a complete data set. So if we go in and look at those missing countries and know that some of them have a pretty good amount of population, and only choose the ones that have a good amount of population, like Mali and Afghanistan and countries like that. Uganda, I think, didn't have any data. And go to other sources like the Nation Master or CIA World Fact Book, or there's a couple other databases out there I'm sure you found it looking for this. Then that bottom number, that number that represents 219 kilowatt hours per year per person, will come up significantly from 500 million to about 0.7 billion by filling in the data blanks. However, if you look at the other category, is how many people live in countries where the electrical production and consumption is less than 1,314 kilowatt hours per year per person. That number rises to about 3 billion people. And the missing data points in there wouldn't matter as much, because 3 billion is a large chunk of the world's population. And remember, we got the 1,314 kilowatt hours per year per person because that's about the output of an ox working 8 hours a day every day. So that represents that. Now, what do we have in this picture over here? The top picture with the red flags are the high energy using countries of the world. You can see things like, what's that tip of, very tip of Malaysia? I think that's Singapore. So as an island nation, it's a very energy intensive use country. And you can see Australia's picked, the United States picked, all of Northern Europe, and most of the oil exporting countries are picked. But now go to the bottom and say, what are our least energy using countries around the world? And it's most of Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, and then Central Asia, and some of our island communities, and that's about it. So we have real pockets of differences throughout the world, and that's what this assignment was trying to point out, as a world view of our energy environments.